In the stillness of the night, I sat alone in my dimly lit living room, surrounded by an eerie silence that seemed to swallow every sound. My name is Emily, and I had always cherished the solitude of my quaint little house nestled in the woods. But tonight, that solitude felt suffocating, as if something sinister lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce. As the clock struck midnight, a chill crept up my spine, sending shivers down my arms. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease, telling myself it was just my imagination running wild. But then, I heard it, a faint scratching at the window, like bony fingers tapping against the glass. Heart pounding, I approached the window cautiously, my breath catching in my throat. Peering out into the darkness, I saw nothing but the swaying branches of the trees, and the inky blackness of the night sky. But the scratching continued, growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. Trembling, I backed away from the window, my mind racing with 1,000 irrational fears. What could be out there, lurking in the darkness? Was it a wild animal, or something far more sinister? Suddenly, the scratching stopped, plunging the room into an oppressive silence once more. But just as I began to relax, I heard it, a low, guttural growl emanating from the shadows behind me. I spun around, my heart in my throat, but there was nothing there. Nothing but the empty expanse of the room, illuminated only by the soft glow of the moon filtering in through the curtains. I told myself I was being foolish, that there was a rational explanation for everything. But as I stood there in the darkness, the feeling of being watched never faded. It lingered like a specter, haunting every corner of my home. Terrified, I retreated to my bedroom, locking the door behind me as if that could keep the darkness at bay. But even as I lay in bed, cocooned in blankets, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone, that something malevolent was lurking just beyond the edge of my perception. And as I drifted into a fitful sleep, the whispers began. Soft at first, like the rustling of leaves in the wind, but growing steadily louder until they filled the room, echoing inside my head like a chorus of lost souls. I woke the next morning, drenched in sweat, the memory of the night's horrors still fresh in my mind. But as the sunlight streamed in through the window, banishing the shadows to the far corners of the room, I couldn't help but wonder, was it all just a dream? Or had I truly glimpsed the darkness that lies just beyond the veil of our reality? Days passed, but the sense of unease never left me. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind outside, sent shivers down my spine. I tried to go about my daily routine, as if nothing had changed, but the feeling of being watched followed me wherever I went. Then, one night, as I lay in bed on the verge of sleep, I heard it again, the scratching at the window, louder and more frantic than before. I buried my head under the covers, praying for it to stop, but it only grew louder, until it sounded as if the glass would shatter at any moment. Summoning every ounce of courage I had, I forced myself to confront whatever was out there. With trembling hands, I reached for the curtains, pulling them aside to reveal nothing. Just the empty expanse of my backyard, bathed in the silvery light of the moon. Confused and terrified, I stumbled back from the window, my heart pounding in my chest. But as I turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of something, a shadow, fleeting and indistinct, darting between the trees. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. It couldn't be real, I told myself. It was just a trick of the light, a figment of my overactive imagination. But deep down, I knew the truth. Something was out there, something that defied explanation, something that hungered for my fear. I spent the rest of the night huddled in my bed, listening to the sounds of the forest outside, praying for morning to come. And when the first light of dawn finally broke through the darkness, I knew I couldn't stay in that house a moment longer. Gathering what few belongings I could carry, I fled into the safety of the daylight, leaving behind the shadows and the whispers that had haunted me for so long. But even now, as I sit in the safety of my new home, surrounded by people and noise, I can't shake the feeling that I am still being watched, that somewhere out there in the darkness, something waits, biding its time until it can strike again.